Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'da, habita fillah, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A question was asked. I've watched some of your videos regarding Hizbeeyah within Salafeeyah, and I wanted to ask you how in our time we can advise young people who have been influenced by those calling to Hizbeeyah. We have a group here, of which I'm sure you are aware, that exerts a strong influence on the youth. Many of them lack knowledge and proper manners. They often behave as though they are the only Salafis in the city. This does not apply to all of them, but many of them fall into these errors and even speak about and refute scholars based on ghulu, meaning extremism, toward a particular sheikh. So one of the things that's very important, these are issues that have been ongoing for decades, not a decade, decades. So the scholars have written a lot of very beneficial books about how to deal with this. Our Sheikh Ibrahim Raheli, has a beautiful book, Nasiha. Imam Abdul Masan al-Abad has his book, Rifqin. Sheikh Allama Salih Suhaimi has an excellent book on Manhaj and dealing with these issues. Sheikh Muhammad al-Imam has an excellent book, Ibana al-Ibana, about these issues. And then many of the scholars of Ahl Sunnah have spoken about it and written and talk about these issues in detail. So that is one of the ways, is to teach, spend more effort in dealing and actually teaching people the usul of Ahl Sunnah, the usul of Salafeeyah, and showing that the correct methodology, and that those traits of speaking about the ulama, of speaking without knowledge, and speaking with extremism, that those things are away from Salafeeyah, regardless, walau kariyal ahl Hizbeeyah. Even if the people of Hizbeeyah, even if the people who claim Salafeeyah hate it, they hate that. They don't even want to talk about that. But they themselves contradict those principles. And an Oromo proverb from a brother from Oromia, it's a tribe in Ethiopia, a major tribe. And I remember he was saying, and according to this proverb, well, a lot of times you'll have a person accusing others, and it's an Oromo proverb, so I can't say it, but then three fingers are pointing back at you. This is the problem with some people who claim Salafeeyah. Now, going back to the beginning of your message, your videos regarding Hizbeeyah within Salafeeyah. So I think it'd probably be more correct to say there is no Hizbeeyah in Salafeeyah, but there are Hizbis who claim to be Salafis, and there are Salafis who fall into Hizbeeyah. So I think we could probably call that two categories of people. Salafis that actually made a mistake, because we're human. No one's infallible, who make a mistake and fall into an issue of Hizbeeyah. Scholars do that. There are imams and great scholars, rahimahumullah jami'an, who fell into some of these traits or taught their students some of these traits. We got to be real. We were in their houses. We know. Secondly, may Allah forgive us in them and guide us in them and bless us in them. I mean, guide those who are living and forgive us all and have mercy upon our souls. Then there are those who claim to be Salafeeyah, but they take it as a gang. They take it as a new movement. They take it as a new hizb, a new party. They take it as they famously said, monopolizing Salafeeyah. Well, the scholars have talked about that. Also, Sheikh Sultan Eid, he has a beautiful little treatise about being merciful to Salafeeyah. I think it's him, or no, it's Sheikh Badr. But anyway, there's so many of these beautiful books. So my advice is to teach some of those books. Read those books on how to do. Sheikh Ahmed Najjar has a very nice risala about making tabdi', basically. So people need to know, give them the tools. One of the best ways to combat ignorance is giving people knowledge and tools. Not playing into the politics. You don't even have to. It's not even necessary to name names or shame, because we want good even for our brothers that have some extremism. Why? Because some of our brothers who have extremism, they're still teaching those same excellent books of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah and reviving the Sunnah and reviving the A'immat ad-Din and teaching the correct Aqidah. But some of the people lace it with their personal biases and as far as they're putting rulings on ashkhas, on people. But still, they still have a janib of great khair, mixed with shar. Compared to the people of bid'ah, who don't practice the usul al-i'tiqad al sunnah, who might have such nice manners, but they're mubtadi'ah, dal mudil. So we don't want to invite the youth and open the door to there. So my advice in general is to go back to those books of the scholars and see how they educated and taught. And one of the biggest lessons, I want to use the word madrasa, from Imam Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, the way, and even other mashayikh like Sheikh Sulaiman al-Raheli, Sheikh Ibrahim al-Raheli, even at that time, I believe Sheikh Abdullah Bukhari, they were under attack. Some of our scholars, and Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, excellent examples, that they were under attack by certain other individuals. One particular one who died, Allah yarhamuhu, but he was extreme. And a lot of our brothers supported them. Unfortunately, the brothers in the Maktab Salafeeyah and all this stuff, they used to translate for them. And we never saw them even deduct those egregious mistakes around the Dawah to Salafeeyah and egregious propagation of Hizbeeyah. I don't ever see they retracted. They just threw away that sheikh who was extreme and was making severe mistakes. But he used to criticize. At that time, he was really being propped up in Medina. And those mashayikh that I named, I'm pretty sure Abdullah Bukhari was on that list, but at least the other three, for sure, were being criticized. Sheikh Abdul Razak, Sheikh Sulaiman, Sheikh Ibrahim. And all of them, because I used to attend their durus, especially Sheikh Ibrahim Raheli and Sheikh Sulaiman Raheli, because those were like my regular every week, every day, Sheikh Ibrahim Raheli, just about 5 days a week at least. And then Imam Abdul Muhsin. And so they were under full attack. Even students left them and so forth. But they did not busy us with the fitna. They just kept teaching book after book, manners and adab and sunnah, and teaching us the deen and qawaid and usul. And then Allah raised them because they all got places in the haram from time to time, seats in the haram. After they were being criticized and even students were leaving them and saying they were mumayya', they're not strong enough in Salafeeyah, they're not this, they're not that. So my advice is to follow their excellent example and keep teaching. This is what Sheikh Imam Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad always advised. Keep teaching. Stay away from this nonsense. Even when he advised Sheikh Rabi', rahmatullah alayhi, rahimahullah, and advised Sheikh Ubaid, rahimahullah, and advised Imam Ahmed al-Najmi, and Faleh al-Harbi. Okay? Imam Abdul Muhsin, he had a strong position because he had high manzil. They all respected him as well, because he's an alim. And so my point is to take that methodology, cling to the sunnah, and people are going to dislike you. And I think it will never end. But once you get to a level of maturity, hopefully knowledge, and some insight, and sitting with the ulama, that helps you to navigate that stuff, to where that stuff doesn't even mean anything to you anymore. Because you're not going to blow away like the wind that when the scholars, when some scholars refute this scholar, you're not going to be bothered. You're not going to run and scream and yell and be like a cheerleader for anybody. You're going to look at things through knowledge, and you're going to keep learning. And that's really what I can advise. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.